Hello class, my name is Mr. Brent Liber. I'm an instructor with the 213th Aviation Regiment, which is the organization in the military, specifically the U.S. Army, that teaches military students, whether they be U.S. or other foreign countries, as we've had many different nations come through and teach on the unmanned aircraft systems that we are actually operating as an allied force. Today's topic is how to perform effective communication in higher education environments. For me, I've had the experience since September of 2000 of having to deal with adult learners. And with this experience, I've built up to become an actual instructor for many years, starting in May of 2008, where I have had to deal with many different students. As I stated before, we have some foreign students come through, as well as just some of the foreign people that have joined our military force and become an unmanned aircraft systems operator. I also do additional instruction on the cadre force, so that means when people have graduated our course, gone to the units, and come back several years later and become an instructor themselves, my role is to instruct them on how to be an instructor so they can go through and project all the information, instruction, and whatever needs of the student there may be to make them successful. So that is why the effective communication piece is so vital, because we have to be able to convey our information that we are producing to the students so that they understand and can learn, achieve the course standards, and qualify to go on to be unmanned aircraft system operators in the military force of their choosing. So let's talk about some strategies that will foster this effective communication with adult learners. Well, first off, we got to create an environment that promotes the inclusivity, trusting environment, and supporting attributes for us to be able to maintain an open discussion with our students, because if they don't trust us, then how are they going to open up and allow us to know what the deficiencies or barriers that they may be having in the instructional piece? We also need to allow them to share the experience that are relevant to what they're learning today, because as they learn by example, it more or less reinforces what we're trying to convey in the instruction. And the other piece is provide a timely response to alternative methods that maybe if we're not inside the classroom, if we're on an online platform or what may it be, we need to provide that alternate method of contact so that they know they can get a hold of us in a timely manner, because information and certain time points are very critical in meeting the standards for many different courses within education. Okay, so now that we've also talked about how to employ these effectively, what are the challenges that could become a factor in trying to actually employ our effective communication, as well as what are some things that we can do to help solve these barriers, overcome them, and that way get to the clear point of conveying our information. So as you know, different people have different backgrounds. This means that language barriers may be a factor, but as well as when I talk specifically, let's say aircraft, one person may be talking about an airplane or a helicopter, or for me, my main job is unmanned aircraft systems. So there needs to be that less confusion between what we're actually talking about. And that way we provide a clear, consistent, and widely accepted terminology so that they understand exactly what we're trying to convey. Second, relevance can be hidden sometimes in what we're trying to convey as far as the information. So we need to make sure that we're putting only the relevant information out. And if there's that confusion factor of how is it relevant, start supporting it with very good examples that makes it to where everybody's on the same sheet of music. And then another way, the last way I want to talk about, is the delivery methods that may work for one person will not work for another. So we need to be open and expansive on how we employ different media or other learning methods to give out the information that we need to convey to our students. Okay, let's talk about the situations where the customer just isn't happy. And in this scenario, the customer being your student and you being the instructor have to convey the information that they are just not meeting the standard on. So for this, I suggest that you be prepared to employ different instruction, and this way you can help them understand by showing them other methods that might make the situation a little bit more clear on where they're going wrong. And this is another thing where you need to start taking in the feedback of your student, because once you see that they start to shut down and they start closing off their mind, they're no longer accepting your feedback. This is where you need to take the role of the active listener, respond appropriately to try to de-escalate the situation from a very hostile and volatile environment down to a nice, peaceful, open conversation, and get them back on a peaceful track to recovery and hopefully rectify the situation to where they become a success. So once you've achieved all these different techniques and strategies to addressing effective communication in your classroom, let's not forget, what is our end goal? Our end goal is to make it to where our students are very open to us, trusting of our information and what we're trying to provide to them, as well as the direction and guidance that we're giving to them. And in the end, when they're open to giving us their thoughts and we can receive their feedback in an open dialogue, this makes your life a lot easier as an instructor, because they'll be so much easier to work with if there is any issues that happen to arise along the way to their path to the end of this course. And once they have become very open like this helps for their success in growing their professional careers and achieving other academic goals. Thank you, and I hope you've enjoyed this video.